This is the High School Football America podcast for August the 6th, 2020. I'm Jeff Fisher. The High School Football America podcast is brought to you by GameStrat, America's premier sideline instant replay system with outstanding reliability, and it's got faster speed than Huddle Sideline. And it has awesome customer service with different plans priced right for every coach's budget. And right now, GameStrat can offer all kinds of discounts that will make it cheaper than Huddle Sideline. Plus, all of their discounts are risk-free, and so are their packages for 2020. If you switch now and there isn't a 2020 season, and that's a good chance, it's happening in 10 states already, your money will roll right into 2021. That's no risk, and you can't beat that. Go to GameStrat.com to get a demo, or you can click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. All right, going to bring back in our good friend and partner here at High School Football America, Tom Creguer, and he is the founder, the creator. He's an entrepreneur. The beeping football, high and tight. We had him on the podcast about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. It is an incredible product. We're going to wrap a story around this, so go to High School Football America to check it out. We have Tom on to talk about the great invention that he came up with, but more importantly, he's going to tell you how you can actually get some of these in these tough economic times that surround football. It's not just X's and O's anymore. It's coaches, and I'm hearing this around the country from coaches. Some of the best programs in the nation saying we're in a freeze. We're not spending any money because we don't have any money, and that's the edict from up top. And Tom and I were talking about that offline. I guess over the weekend we were kind of texting back and forth, and Tom goes, "I got an idea here, Jeff. We got a platform here that can help out," and that's why he's on the line. And for those of you who don't know, he's not just an entrepreneur; he's also a football coach himself, D2 at Northwood in Michigan. So welcome in once again, Tom. Hope you're healthy and everybody in the family's good, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. Always been enjoying my time with you, and appreciate all you do for our great sport.
You're very welcome, and I enjoy it, and same back at you. And before we dive into your creative idea, and that means you're truly an entrepreneur. You may be more of an entrepreneur than a coach at this point. Let's refresh the listeners' memory out there about what this darn beeping football is all about, which teaches kids how to carry the football properly, and for coaches that pull their hair out and are bald now because of turnovers, it also helps with hair loss.
Yeah, Jeff, you're absolutely right. You know, all the great coaches in America all come down to the fundamentals, right? You look at the Sabans and the Sweeneys, and they're all about blocking, tackling, and ball security. You know, and there are some great developmental tools out there to help you with your blocking, your tackling, as we've advanced the game and changed. But there was nothing out there for ball security, so we had to find a way. And you know, like you said, I'm a problem solver, not a problem stater. You know, everybody in America knows there's a problem right now, and so now I don't care about the problem. I want to know how you solve it. You know, and that's what brought us to High and Tight, was the fact that I still had kids putting the ball on the ground, and they're very attention to detail kind of hardworking kids. And so we had to bring in some new things. You know, it wasn't just a slippery skin that we used to use. It wasn't just a weighted football that we used to use. It had to be some technique and then some understanding of how much pressure is on the ball, because that's where fumbles occurs, when someone else places greater pressure on the ball than what you have on the ball. And that brings in the ball that measures pressure, and as a result, it gives you a beep. So it's instant audible feedback when you have the ball properly held to your body with split finger, and you close the gaps, and you keep that ball wedged just so you know that it's high and tight and you're carrying your team.
It's as simple as that. Go back and listen to the other podcasts. You'll see a little bit more went into the development with Tom. Tom Creguer on the line, High and Tight. It's HIGHandTIGHT.com. We're going to be talking in just a few seconds here about, again, solving another problem, which is the economics of football and so many teams. Tom and I were talking about this before I rolled the tape here. Of course, it's not tape anymore. That shows how old I am. But we were talking about, not being able to hold their fundraisers, such as golf tournaments, which are a huge fundraiser for a lot of programs around the country. But Tom, as I've kind of gone out and talked to some of the coaches that aren't familiar with High and Tight, they're like, "What? Huh? A beeping football and all that?" And then they're like, "Well, that thing has got to be as expensive as all bleepity bleepity bleep." And I'm like, "Nah, it's not." So let's talk about the economics on this side first about the ball, and then we'll kind of segue into what you've come up with here with a way they can get it possibly for free.
Absolutely. That was my big thing. Is you look at what I used to use my own tools as a coach, and what I kind of wrapped around. I used to use these slip skins, which are like, $30 a piece to put on top of a ball that made it really slippery. And then I went to weighted footballs, which were about, another $50 a ball. And then we got guys that would make their own, and then you add in the element of, okay, right there, we've got almost $80 right there in a ball, and all it does to you is two separate things, and you need all this stuff. Well, the element of bringing in pressure measuring and all that, for about another $50 more, $40 more, you get all three into one. And as a guy who's, as a equipment manager in college and a head coach, when I bought footballs, I couldn't believe game balls were $80, $79.99, and it didn't do anything for you. Once it got wet in the game, they were pumpkins, and you just turn them over to the kickers, and I felt like I was wasting good money every year. But keeping that in mind, and the development cost that went into this, we got the price point between $120 and $150, depending upon the amount of force you needed. Meaning, NFL down to high school, and then youth. And youth can be down there at the $99 realm. So for less than $100, and if you buy in bulk, you get a break. But for less than $100, you get all three, one of which has never been done before. So that way it changes the way you teach. We currently work with over 20 NFL athletes on ball security, and they all say the same thing. It's like having your own ball security coach each and every moment you have the ball in your hand. And what's more important than being secured with the football for an athlete and for a program?
Yeah, I've never heard a problem with turnovers in my life. Tom Creguer is on the line, High and Tight, HIGHandTIGHT.com. Having a little fun here this morning as we try and figure out what 2020 looks like. And like I said earlier, you've come up with a plan here. You mentioned that you are a problem solver, an ex-military guy, so that makes sense, right? Tell me a little bit about this platform that you got all jacked up about and told me about over the weekend, saying let's get this to the listeners. So there's a way out there if you didn't have maybe your golf tournament or whatever it is you do to raise funds for the program.
Well, Jeff, I try to always ensure that I'm looking through a lens of helpfulness. I always want to add value. I don't like wasting people's quality time. So like sitting down with you right now, and you've got a great responsibility to your listeners, and that's time. And so every time I talk to a coach, and anytime I talk to a player, I'm like, how can I help? It's in the back of my mind. It's what it is. It allows this country to become a great place. And what I kept hearing over and over, like you, is that, well, it's great. I've got 472 qualified leads that want footballs and can't afford them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, what do you do for, what's your budget like? What do you do for fundraising? Well, our budget's frozen, or, hey, we had $1,200 last year for our budget, and now it's gone. And all of our cookie dough, our popcorn sales, our door-to-door stuff is all shut off. And I'm like, really? I'm like, so what are you going to do? And he goes, we don't know. I go, well, how are you communicating with your team about the next steps? And I heard a bunch of different things, the different platforms they were using, Remind or GroupMe and all that sort of stuff. So about 3 months ago, I started trying to solve that recurring problem in my own mind. Like, what would I do if I'm the head coach right now? And so I went and compared all these different competitors. There's Snap Raise, Vertical Raise, E-Team, all these. And I started comparing them, and I started asking the big questions of, like, what do you truly need right now? And I came up with I talked to the one owner, and it was like, he's telling me about a COVID-friendly solution to fundraising. And I was like, COVID-friendly? He's like, yeah, hands off, no face-to-face. I'm like, oh, okay. And we've driven our society that way, right? We're not even going face-to-face across the country for schooling. And so as I listened to him, the idea of this platform that he has, it's kind of like a social media element that allows your team to communicate. But what's even more powerful on the back end is it allows you to take your roster and then identify people that you would normally go door to door with and plug in their cell phones and their emails, and then it blasts them hey, this is what we're doing. They have a step-by-step list of what you do to be successful. It's like a 4 or 5 step thing, real simple, get you started in like 20 minutes. And then they send out a blast saying, hey, this is so-and-so from High School Football America, our great team. We need to go, and we're trying to fundraise this so we can get that. And they send a video, and they request funds. And so people are very apt to, A, they know you, B, they want to support you, and then C, it's one click, and bam, they've sent the money to your program. It's incredibly transparent on the back end from a coach. There's no money hand exchange, no cash. So it's great from an AD athletic element. because you don't have anybody, kids handling products, kids handling money.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go along the way, you can get your money every week. It's not like so it's like instant gratification. There's one team that I work with out of St. Louis, they started 5 days later, they raised $12,000, and they're an inner city, rough kind of economic place. But it was so simple to set up, and then it was so powerful to reach outside of their network at this moment because of COVID that you just can't keep that to yourself, in my mind. And so then I've been messaging these guys going, hey, here's a solution. And then the owners are great football guys, and so they, he's like, hey, we will donate High and Tight footballs back to the programs that utilize our fundraising platform. And as I was listening to his fundraising element and listening to what it does back in, I realized from a director of football operations standpoint, I go, this is a team management. He goes, yes, it is. It's a powerful team management tool for free, because they're really transparent. They go, we just make the money off of the packaging of the transmission of the funds back and forth. He goes, and we're very transparent. Our company only makes 10% from a managerial element. Some places charge between 30 and 40% of the funds they raise, which I was shocked. I would never do that as a head coach. We raised $20,000 each and every year with our various activities, and never once did I ever give away from our community, 20, 30% of what our profit was. I'm all about making my money, but I'm not about fleecing the small communities or the big communities or the people that are donating their money.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I love it. And folks, we're going to put up go to highschoolfootballamerica.com. You can see the story with the links. Tom has sent me some stuff, so we're going to write a little story around this so you can learn more about it. But, mother is the nature, right? It creates a lot of things.
Necessity, right?
Yeah, necessity. That's what I was looking for. Thanks, Coach. Thanks for coaching me up this morning. We're doing this, by the way. We're taping this at 8:17 in the morning, so my ice water hasn't kicked in. I'm not a coffee guy. But, Tom, let's just kind of talk about, going away here. What are you running into? Like you said, 472 qualified leads in that. So for the coaches out there listening to this in that boat, and of course you just given them the platform, you don't want them not talking to you at this point, right? You're not like saying, okay, well, if you're a 2021 team now, you can wait till December. What kind of things are you doing to kind of stimulate your side of the business and let coaches know out there that now may be the better time to talk than, while you're popping pads?
It has been that. I've been shocked because with some states having dead week this week, my phones are blowing up. And then other states that are like, well, we're pushed back. And I'm like, all right, now's the time. Because now you can set up everything you need for that season, right? And I've got some colleges that aren't sure what they're doing. So they've been reaching out to me, buying footballs, and then sending them to their kids who are not on campus yet. And then it's unbelievable how creative they're becoming now. They're like, if I give them a tool that will help them, they can actually do it on their own, and we can get better at ball security. We get better at our fundamentals while we're not even together. Which is just baffling to me. And one coach, a Pac-12 coach, actually sent me a text saying, "Hey, the guys love the high and tight balls. They're using them in their dorm rooms because they're in camp, but they're still isolated."
It's like the new teddy bear. I don't know if you want to promote it that way, but it's kind of funny. Hey, and the last question, and I think you and I have had some kind of interesting conversations offline, and I think this might be a good one to ask you here because I was kind of joking at the top, coach, entrepreneur, all these things, and now you throw COVID into the mix. What have you learned about yourself as a coach and an entrepreneur and a person throughout this time? Because I love, coach knowledge. So what have you learned about yourself during this time?
I thought I was patient, and now I know what true patience has to be. You talk about the fruits of the Spirit and the elements that you have when you have that great peace. And I've been really convicted about the patient element, because people are genuinely concerned and have fear. And I always want to say to them that fear is not the intent of human nature. We weren't born to be fearful creatures. We were born to be adventurous, conquerors, get out there and get after it. And that's the very fabric of football. You can't play the game of football with fear or in a matter of being timid or uncertain. those teams get beat, those players get beat, and unfortunately those players get hurt that play with that kind of spirit. And I think that's what we're kind of entering in, and I just have to be patient when I'm listening to a coach tell me what their concerns are, and that's what gets me to that, okay, how can I help this person? Because his mindset is here. So I read what they're trying to say, listen what they're trying to say to me, and then try to walk them to a solution that helps them. And I can't say the number of times I had a coach say, well, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, I know, we're so engrossed. I always tell it, it's like being in the middle of the woods, and you're running through the woods, where there's someone standing outside the woods going, well, if you just went over this path over here, you'd be straight through.
Very well said. Well, this is Tom Creguer on the line. Tom is the founder of High and Tight. It's HIGHandTIGHT.com. He's also a football coach himself, so he knows what the heck he's inventing and what he has invented, I should say. And Tom, before you go away, we'll give you one little final pitch here for the listeners out there. Aside from the teddy bears and the dorms, talk a little bit about that beeping football and how it's going to help either their kid, their players, anybody that carries the rock needs this ball, I think.
Well, I think that's the whole part of it, is like every person on the field is potentially a ball carrier. That's the bad part or the nature of it. And I look at some coaches like PJ Fleck, who's, made an incredible impact in every place he went, and he teaches his linemen how to carry the football properly. That to me is you can't get a more resounding statement of the importance when you hear that they teach every single person. And at High and Tight, we want to help every single program. So we can do that by partnering with Blast Athletics or whatever solution you need to help you accomplish your goal. And one last thing on that, too, the element of fundraising that we all do, and I have done. I used to bother me that I would ask for money and I would have them invest in our team, but then I would never go back and give them updates. And so I used to have to send a monthly thing to do. With this app, Blast Athletics, it automates a weekly update to the person that donated to them, to the family, no matter where they are. It sends them videos and photos and stories that you've put on your feed. It sends them to them automatically. They don't have to go and get it. It comes to them. So therefore, you're keeping your donation and your circle of influence informed on what you're doing and the gratefulness that you have for the funds that they did and where they're going. What that money means to the team and the impact it's making. And to me, that was an incredible thing that we can always say thank you each and every day to the people that donate to our program.
Well, as a couple of entrepreneurs talking to each other here, ROI is important, right? No doubt about that. And that's what you're talking about there, making sure that the people that invest in you know what's going on. Tom, always fun to talk to you. Always great to hear about what you're doing and how you're keeping creative during these interesting times. I don't call it the new normal. Mm-hmm. I don't call it tough times. It's just interesting times, and it's that necessity, as you so pointed out just a few moments ago. So, Tom, thanks a lot. And folks, just go to highschoolfootballamerica.com and you will be able to see exactly what he's talking about with this platform that literally, if you do it right, you can get yourself a free High and Tight football and do your program some good. So thanks, Tom, for joining us.
My pleasure, Jeff.
And that's today's High School Football America podcast, brought to you by the great new app, Small Player, Big Play, an age-appropriate, sports-focused social media platform designed to showcase and connect young athletes with their parents, their coaches, and their friends. And it's also good for the high school level of things, especially during COVID, when right now it looks like a lot of states are not going to allow fans in the stands, and you can stream your games and earn money through Small Player, Big Play's lucrative fundraising opportunity. On Small Player, Big Play, young athletes have the ability to utilize the app and share interests and accomplishments in a very safe and it's a very secure social media environment. It features live streaming, as I just said, game day highlights, and that lucrative fundraising opportunity for your school and your team. And this is not just football, folks. If you're a soccer program, field hockey, you name the sport, you can stream it, you can earn money. Download the Small Player Big Play app on Google Play and from the Apple App Store. That's today's High School Football America podcast, and I'm Jeff Fisher.